Lag Force seems the latest convert to a double support with Morales, potentially, but with the Vala to boot. Getting 2 wins over Even in Death and potentially ending this series early if they can win the next game. Even in Death, last chance to win a game, win a series in all of League play for Phase 2.
It's not looking good. So hopefully, not maybe so because of that, but more so they showed that they're willing to flex things out with the Orcom #1. They didn't get so wild with #2, so I'm hoping that in this next one, if that's the mentality and they're kind of, again, they've been looking so far to the future, I hope that we see some more creativity that we got in the first game from them.
Yeah, what I'm thinking now is because it was Even in Death and they were a home team, maybe it was that they knew that they were going to be picking the first Battleground, so they had that one prepared, and otherwise it's more of just playing what they played for the same. But I'm with you. I want a crazy composition. Let's see where we're going for Game 3 and maybe figure out what they could do. Battlefield of Eternity chosen by Lag F. Not a big surprise there.
Not a surprise at all. The fact that they're willing to take us there. It's not necessarily the best map in the world here for Even in Death. Pretty comfortable for Lag Force, already down 0-2. Again, we've laid out the circumstances. It can go either way, but this is, let's say things were normal week of HGC here. In normal cases, this would be a devastating situation to be in for Even in Death. So it is a bit scary here. Hopefully we get ourselves some Sylvanas. If there's a time and a place, this is it. Or Syndragosa. That's what I'm looking for. If I get anything special, that's the 2 I want. Or the Zod. Always take me some Zod.
What about Tyrande?
Not so much. One of the better maps, one of the few cases I do like the creative Tyrande. I'll take it.
Artanis.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. Not at H82 level, but I'm sure we won't get that.
Do we have a robot replacing you?
It's not Dreadnought today.
What alien race abducted you and put someone who is who was okay with Tyrande and like
Artanis.
Yeah, Artanis. I would take that.
Pretty decent, yeah. No, I mean, that shows that I'm too big of a tryhard on a normal week. You know, get me on the week where things don't matter. And I'm like, I'm ready for me some Artanis. I can have some quick match time. You know, I'm down to have a good game once in a while. I just usually go with like the real weird, right?
Yeah.
Like when I go down the rabbit hole, like we are deep, boys.
Rainer.
Yeah.
So who do you think was better? You remember that Glaurung Artanis game at the
H82,
old Western
no one
Clash?
else
H82,
ever,
just
not
that's
even close.
it. He is the Artanis master, best Artanis in the world.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, it's beyond, because he doesn't just hit big swaps. Like, at that tournament, at the Eastern Clash, Trick highlighted it effectively. What he does is his swaps are timed to where his prism hits effectively to where he can always be a part of the kill afterwards. So he is not just a walking hook into the team like a Stitches where he's enabling the swap in. He always swaps to bring it a little bit closer, but then he's like, now I can get the kill on top of it. And he is...
uses the
It's like near flawless every single time. And because of that, I've just been like, yeah, keep going for it. Though if you're going to play at this level, Artanis is on a completely different tier.
Any other final thoughts before we get into the draft for Battlefield of Eternity? Not really so much a Cho'Gall map.
Yeah, no, there isn't a Cho'Gall map. I feel like I am missing another tier of cheese.
I would say Braxis is the Cho'Gall map.
Yeah, any 2-lane map, but BOE is one of the worst because of the poke, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you are right. Haunted Mines is the other, but rip in pieces.
That's all you're going to say
I mean, it's
on
just
that one.
it's not a part of our competitive pool. Sadly, Battlefield of Eternity. Let's get it going.
Maybe Volskaya Foundry will be the next Cho'Gall map.
Maybe it will.
Because if you put Cho'Gall in the Tree Glove Protector, Gall gets to ride along, so it's really a 3-man.
What did you name that thing?
The Tree Glove Protector.
The Triglav Protector?
Yeah. That's the name of the thing.
I'm just, you know, I'm not surprised that Gilead automatically knows the official terminology for the new map that is yet to even be released into the game.
I think that's it. Don't quote me.
The minute you said that, I was like, what are we doing?
Even in Death says no to Biggie's Vala.
Don't want to deal with that race potential. You know, and we're going down the rabbit hole, though, with the race potential that Vala banned, then Toronto would be more incentivized in this game. And since one of the heavy racers have been taken out of the way, Task Tracer is off the table, too.
Even in Death loves Greymane here, so it could be Greymane. But would they first pick that?
Genji's up, one of the kind of weird maps for Genji. He doesn't really stand out too much anymore, but he does provide a lot of threat when it comes to just all around the objective, a lot of poke, a lot of sustain. You usually want to go Death Volley if you go in that direction.
ETC, right?
I mean, ETC is the thing that does seem to stand out, but they're willing to go as far as to first pick that Greymane.
ETC Genji.
See, yeah, I respect your effort. Like, it's like, go. ETC Genji. All right, wait, if we do it together, okay?
Okay, ready? One.
But you got to do it at the right camera. You can't do it at this one. You got to send it that way.
Okay, ready? One,
two,
two,
three.
go.
Nothing. All right, we can go home.
I'm wrapped up in my cord, so I'm having a really tough time.
It's surprising they're taking this long to figure it out. My sleeves are all done goofed now. My goodness. Just an absolute hot mess up here.
Can't take you anywhere.
Nah, this is why we can't. I am actually the epitome of the reason we can't have nice things.
How have they not picked these next two things? Maybe they were expecting ETC pick in that first pick?
That could be the case, and then they feel like they may be missing out too much on the power.
Yes.
I am so upset that we threw our energy, and it went all the way down to 6 seconds for that to happen.
I know. They were just making sure they had everything figured out. If
we figured it out.
These two,
it's their lag, dude. They just didn't get it right away.
Ah, yeah.
You gotta
uptime.
Gotta got that ping.
What's next for Even in Death? Is this their Garrosh?
I'd like to see me a Garrosh, and then I think that Tron did get weird, and because we are yet to see really cool synergies between a Garrosh and then any immediate kill potential follow-up, and I feel like that's the first one where it's like, if a team mastered it, it's not necessarily going to be meta, but I feel like it'd be so fun to watch, right? Just like flip dead, right? And you only win it once in a while, but the few games that it's run crisp and clean, it's a good time.
They could always get Garrosh Uther and then Tyrande after, and then they've got
now
stuns for days.
Solo Tyrande. I want solo Tyrande just all in.
I don't know if that's
gonna happen, or that's what. Darn it. They got themselves the Uther. They got the Arthas too. Very scary composition from them so far.
Yeah.
Way more meta. What happened with that? Was that? You must be right. It must be because they selected the map.
Yeah.
That they were willing to, like, essentially just pick a thematic composition, be like, you have no idea what we want to draft.
Yeah, how things are set up is that each team plays each other twice in a phase, once in part one, once in part two. And one team is the home team the first time that they play against each other, and so they are going to be the first Battleground choice, and then they switch. And so in this case, Even in Death knew they had to pick a Battleground, so they picked the one Battleground that they knew they had to pick, and then they came out with a draft, though, that is like so out of it was obvious that they were going for all of the orcs, so that you couldn't really see anything from them, but otherwise they're just playing more of the standard since they are back to first pick.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting strategy coming out from them, but I like the fact that we can, you know, see it unfolding. What do we see for Lag Force, though? What ban do they want to rid of? The Zod? He's not been banned out.
Maybe they're going to pick it.
Understandable. Into the composition, Even in Death drafted. I might not want to deal with an Abathur either. Mouthtail Snap banned. This is it. This is the Zod, man. I'm feeling it.
Do it.
This is Biggie on the Zod.
Oh, man. Did you get to see when Lag Force played GFE last week? Biggie's numbers on Li Ming were nuts. Just nuts. Like, we kept talking about, oh, this ETC Genji, it's such good synergy. And then quietly, Biggie's just like 90K damage. He's just wrecking people with his Li Ming.
Just flinging it.
So if that happens, then Zod. They already have Genji, so they don't have to worry about Genji dive on him.
And Zod, you know.
I mean, Greymane might be Greymane with the Divine Shield with the Arthas. It's kind of scary, but
Medivh's available, and that would still synergize with the comp and be a direct counter to Zod. You could last pick it, though, so wait it out. Wait to see if the Medivh gets picked up and be like, is this diveable enough to be able to pick it up? I just need a little bit of flair here. That's all I'm looking for.
Okay, so we leave Biggie until the end, and right here you get Dahaka and the support, or Leo support. Yes! They're doing it. It's happening.
I think so. Even in Death, can they Zod? No, you do not want to Zod into an ETC Genji Lucio composition.
I'm so happy you're using the Zod. That makes me so happy.
I'm not confident that it's going to be everybody's on the same page as us. But I'm down for at least until I figure out a better one. I'm going with the Zod.
All right. I want to know if this is double support for Even in Death.
I hope not. I really would like to see if you go double anything on one material all in. Like, just let's get Hyphy a little bit here.
Yeah.
Try and bring the fight to Lag Force a bit because they're all inning on the team fight. So you either got to go macro play too late into the draft to be able to make that happen. Plus, Leo's going to top deck and wreck you in that avenue. So let's just, you know, take what you're good at and get better at it here with the next two.
They do have great damage for Immortals. They could try to build into Race. But I like the team fight better anyway.
Yeah.
Leo, well,
Hey!
there she is.
We got one more.
Tyrio? Oh! Yes!
I don't want to say that there directly. I want to know if that's now because we said that or in fact because they wanted to pick it. But we got the Tyrande Artanis.
Swaps Magoo happening.
And this is the Zod. It's it.
I don't think you want to play Zod versus Artanis.
Phylactery Zod, dude. Run it like a Leo. Just keep throwing your body. Abuse your passive.
I don't think you want a Zod versus Artanis.
You don't want a Zod Phylactery on a map that has negative globes either. Like it's like actually worst case scenario. But I just need it, you know? If not, I need a different mage. I would like to see more mages. Can we get...
It might be leaning.
Kel'Thas. Let's get a KT. Jaina. What else? Just not Li Ming.
Li Ming's a mage.
But like,
What do you have against Li Ming?
she's like the normal mage. You know, we got Tyrande Artanis over here.
Entertain Dread with your last pick, Lag Force.
I mean, I doubt it. They've been meta the whole way through. They're going to keep it up. Go with the Li Ming.
There you go. Double resets.
Into a
ETC Genji.
Into a Tyrande Uther Artanis double warrior, double support composition. Not traditionally the one you want to run that double reset into. Might be a little bit harder of a game here for the members of Lag Force than I normally would expect. This is actually really kind of cool. This game, I feel like, could go like 5 minutes in favor of Lag Force. It can be like 25 minutes in favor of Even in Death, and that is like the only way they stand a chance, which is weird because in Artanis and Tyrande, you'd be like, that's early game, right? And it's just not quite the case. With how dominant Lag Force is over Even in Death consistently for early games, you just kind of go, we're going to lose this. Just don't lose it too hard. Then we'll focus on those kills into the later stages of the game because it's very realistic. You can kill, I mean, essentially every target but maybe the Li Ming and Genji. And Li Ming should be semi-vulnerable. Genji probably going to have a bad time.
All I have to say is the members of Even in Death have to be scared of that ETC Genji. If it is as on fire emoji, whatever you want to call it, as it was last week, they cannot lose that many picks on Battlefield of Eternity because otherwise it will be the 9-minute game, the 8-minute game. Total destruction.
It very much could be the case. And they don't even have that good of a maybe snowballing composition. It's just that, again, Lag Force is, they picked an early game comp that can do decent, but it doesn't snowball the game in the map. It's just the map naturally is kind of tilted towards the early game. And, again, Lag Force has just been successful in the early game. So I do think it's probably going to be a short one. But if Lag Force, or if Even in Death holds on and somehow we find ourselves like, oh, Lag Force didn't pull ahead, I'm like, this Tyrande composition, all it takes is one swap, one pick.
Double resets against the one swap, one pick comp of Even in Death. Let's get to it for Game 3 on Battlefield of Eternity.
I mean, it's the MOBA's version of the one shot, one kill, right? You got the one swap, one pick.
Yes.
You know, you didn't seem to be on the same page with me there with that one.
I got one shot, one kill. And that's about it. I was wondering if we would still see Sentinel build from Tyrande. Or if maybe just, they are all stacking, so it all is kind of building up. But I didn't know if we'd see anything different just because it is Battlefield of Eternity.
Arthas ended up going into his passive at 1. We might see a Syndragosa too. Wasn't that on my list of requests? Oh, they are doing it, aren't they? Even in Death.
Say it.
I have all the hearts.
Tell them your feelings.
If this was because of my poor request, first of all, I apologize that you have to endure this composition over this game. Second of all, I want to say thank you. If it wasn't for me, I'm still saying thank you because I'm going to have a good time watching it.
Yeah, this is going to be a blast. Potentially Even in Death's last game in HGC. Lag Force 2. We don't know what's going to happen with the Crucible, and if this is the final game for this series, it could be the final game of HGC League play because of the Crucible.
Zunin caught out there. Nice Lunar Flare dropped. iDream decided to join in with the squad. Zunin and friends, you see the focus there. Li Ming even getting that follow-up immediately after. And now that you hyped it up, I want to see, we talked about the Genji ETC again, but if Big Impact's the one putting everybody on blast, they got to keep heavy focus on what he's going to make happen here on those resets.
Yeah, I want to see Biggie pop off. That would be awesome. But you said it was a double warrior, double support. Even still, Tyrande can be very squishy,
Yeah,
an easy target.
When I say double warrior, double support, it's more of like a double. Even that feels unfair because none of them are a true warrior, right? It's like this. It's like you have Arthas, who I would give credit to be the warrior, yes, and then you have Artanis as this mid-tier bruiser, and then you have a true support, and then you have this kind of pseudo-support-ish in the Tyrande aspect as well. So it's not as difficult as a normal full support, full double warrior composition to get these resets because Tyrande and Artanis are vulnerable to those type of picks. So not as bad as it could be, but it should be a little bit more difficult than obviously like 5 squishies onto the other side.
But it still has to be respected that Tyrande has a Hunter's Mark, and because of that, Lag Force, even though they have a Li Ming, they head straight up to their Immortal to defend it and make sure that Even in Death can't get a ton of free damage on that. There was a little bit of damage done to both of the Immortals, Lag Force doing some as they headed up to the top. But now it becomes a waiting game, trying to rotate around, make sure that they are focusing on the lanes. Tomster gets hit by the Lunar Flare, speeds on out, and starts healing himself back up.
He's able to survive that one, but if the members, honestly, anybody more than just Even in Death's Arthas and Frozen X as the follow-up was there, that would have been one dead Lucio, and Lucio is not the target who should be that easy and that susceptible to this style of play early on, especially on a map like Battlefield of Eternity with Accelerando. He's some of the hardest to be able to catch up to of any support in the game, really, in this type of situation.
iDream and Lutano have been trading blows. Zuna finds a battery, power slides through, even as battery throws out the Howling Blast, but it's iDream who comes in and takes down Arthas. First blood. First
blood in the reset there. Big impact. Hey, maybe had a bit more mana. We would have seen them get a more offensive after that first kill, but the members of Lag Force instead turned their focus towards this Immortal. Kick off the halftime show, and they're going to have a pretty big lead when looking at this Immortal.
Oh, they've even found Homicidal who's going to swap Beakid into a tricky situation, but because he has Wraithwalk, he'll get out A-okay. Zuna gets back to defending. Lag Force does have the lead, but it doesn't mean that they don't have to respect still the damage that Even in Death can do with another power slide. The deaths keep rolling in for Lag Force, but Even in Death turns around and takes out Zuna.
Able to get some punishment. Wraithwalk has already been used. Lutano wants to try and find a kill there. Greymane still in human form. Boop from Tomster right into the Immortal stun. Lunar Flare dropped, and that is a 1-for-1 trade, but huge plays from Tomster there on that Lucio.
Oh yeah, and it's Beakid who went down, which means that he'll be able to come back in the action with Arthas falling. Lag Force is dominating this early game versus Even in Death. 5 kills to 2, and they've got big impact starting to clean up the rest of the Immortal while the rest sit and keep Even in Death off theirs.
We see Homicidal attempting maybe for another swap there. Didn't end up throwing out the Prism. Big impact is on to the Immortal. Really, really well done. Even in Death, or excuse me, Lag Force approached this secondary half of the Immortal phase almost near flawless. Yes, they were successful when it came to the kills, and I would give that more, Even in Death giving up too much. But I want to say mainly where Lag Force decided to apply pressure and how many people and which people they committed to zoning off the very, very effective racing of Greymane, Tyrande, and an Artanis was impressive. They committed just the appropriate 3-2 and 4-1 when necessary, and now Even in Death find themselves facing a half-shielded Immortal.
This is an important point for Lag Force if they want the quick Battlefield of Eternity game dream. How much damage they can get done here. They've lost a couple of kills, which has given Even in Death some experience, but Lag Force are still ahead, almost having 7, and there they get them. The Immortal still with a little bit of shielding. As the gate falls, the towers go down, Zuna goes in. iDream 2 using Deflect, now has the Cyber Agility out. Homicidal is going to go right back into the stun after the Blade Dash, but he gets out alive.
Hit up multiple targets there. It looks like the fort will lie victim to Lag Force here, but Even in Death's far enough back here. And the shielding on the Immortal, or the health on the Immortal low enough that Lag Force not going to get too aggressive, but a first fort off the first Immortal, that is going to be primed and ready here for Lag Force. They've got to be thankful with the situation they find themselves in here. Because that is, now they have an early game composition and they're winning their early game. And that is, normally you'd be like, okay, well, things are according to plan. But this is like one of those, well, if we fail the early game, this Even in Death composition would just be unstoppable.
And they're all clumped on the Khazra camp. Zuna finds this, and Orb goes in. The camp was taken before Zuna got onto the point. Even in Death are willing to take this fight if Lag Force will give it to them.
Tomster is an absolute monster on that Lucio. That boop just saved Zuna from dying because it stopped the swap from Homicidal all the way back. And now How is going to be the focus. Homicidal with one more dash. The shielding's there. Reset 1, reset 2 here for the members of Lag Force. How many looks like it's going to be every single one but Arthas. They did find an ETC in the process, though.
They did get the 1, but they lost the 4, only getting the camp, and I think at the end of the day, Lag Force will say a big worth on that one. 1 level lead, they could clear that out fast. Arthas was left in the bottom, but we're about to have an Immortal phase very soon, and Lag Force with that level lead is going to get potentially a lot out of it unless Even in Death can figure something out.
Yeah, now it's Even in Death. I'm just waiting to see this timer. When do we see that thing come online here? The camp's already being started by the members of Lag Force. It's going to be a bit early for them. 14 seconds on out. So is this enough for Even in Death to actually get their heroics within this window? After the halftime show, with the way the top menu wave's already pushed out, with the way bottom weight looks, the answer doesn't seem like the answer is going to be yes. As long as Lag Force concentrates on the kicking off this halftime show fast enough, they're going to be just fine, and they are doing that effectively here, as you see, falling below the 75% threshold. Yeah,
they're still trying to defend too, knowing that they have heroics. Lag Force can be a little riskier in how separated out they are, but they want to make sure that it's a well-shielded Immortal. Zuna's going to use the mosh, but we've got iDream too using Dragon Blade.
Lutano actually got the Immortal to knock him out of that, and it kept him alive. iDream got interrupted on that Protect, and now he's very low, having to Swift Strike away from there.
That was a lot of good damage done to the Immortal for Even in Death. That might have just saved their skins.
It did. It was huge. The fact that they were able to get that down 10s and to almost, again, force that halfway point. No initiation. Lag Force here has the 10s, but they aren't willing to pull the trigger. Outside of, again, that mosh pit that we saw, but that was very much iDream and Zuna, the only ones really that seemed like they were on the in it to win it page.
Artanis cleaning out top. The Immortal swap into defensive positionings. Kenji's going to start to come back in. Leoric is dealing with bottom. Zuna's taking damage. Boop throws back Battery to again save the life of Zuna. 10s are just almost here for Even in Death. And using Mosh Pit and Dragon Blade, those are long heroic timers. Now Sound Barrier has been used to keep Zuna alive, and Even in Death are going to come in with fresh heroics.
They have fresh heroics. It was not the Syndragosa. It's going to be Army of the Dead, but Starfall for Tyrande at level 10. It's going to be laid down, hitting the Immortal and zoning out the members of Lag Force. They're all inning this. Zuna goes up, drops a knockback. Homicidal's very, very deep. Two-man Lunar Flare connects. Power Slide dropped a lot of damage onto Battery, but at the end of the day, Divine Shield Artanis is going to get this Immortal.
Gets the Immortal. They do get the Immortal, but they're going to lose Homicidal as Biggie gets his first reset. Only an Artanis down. iDream goes in, wanting more kills. Frozen X has been caught, immediately just runs away from the rest of the team, knowing that there is no way that Tyrande gets out of this situation. But Even in Death got the Immortal.
How? They were down an entire level before the thing even spawned, and they managed to hold off that level 10 advantage so very well here over Lag Force, but losing those members as the objective is up has made it pretty easy clear for Lag Force. So much so that Even in Death committed 2 members down to bottom.
B-Kid's there to hold them off while Lag Force takes out the rest of the Immortal. Suppression Pulse.
Value.
Getting a little more time where this Immortal stays alive. And a little more time while Even in Death are doing damage to the bottom 4.
One common misconception that I feel like is very frequent that we see is how much damage Suppression Pulse actually does. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and drop this one. It is 175 damage here at this late into the game is how much that does. That is like about an auto attack's worth, so I'm just reminding everybody at home that you do have a global and it feels good and you're like, man, look at all this impact I can have in this area, but it's only 175 damage.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more about the 4-second blind.
It is, but I think, Gilly, you'd be surprised even at the higher levels of solo queue. It's oftentimes somebody's one shot, let's just go ahead and drop a suppression pulse.
Oh, is this a Dreads teaching moment here based on some games that you've had to play with people?
I'm just trying to let people understand.
I see.
You should not be intending to drop that with the intent to kill. And if somebody's one shot, most of the time, if you're like, I can get this kill, unless it's murky, the answer is probably not going to die.
But making sure you get a blind on an Illidan so that he can't get his self-heal. There you go. Plays were made this day. Lessons were learned. Even in Death did not fall victim to an early game defeat from Lag Force here in Game 3, the potential final game of this series. Final series for both of these teams for 2017 in the regular league play. They'll still have one more best of 7 that is so important at the Crucible.
And we talked about what we expected out of the early game and the advantage for Lag Force, and even in Death could hold on long enough. I don't feel like this is what I would have put as like this is when we can come back, but it is not nearly as ugly as I assumed it to be. And I think that if even in Death at least can make this 13 talent tier and go even over the next few minutes, just mainly not getting bodied over this Immortal, and they're now in the area to where they can be successful in this game. But they might want to try and avoid the 20. I know it's a sad and very small window, but post-20, some of the members of Lag Force suddenly become terrifying. Specifically, that's got to be, I mean, Li Ming is effective, but it's the Genji, the ETC, and the Leoric. They're 20 upgrades, some of the best in the game.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Good dismount.
Yeah, looking at the Sentinels, Frozen X has been doing a fantastic job with his Toronto player, sitting at 29 stacks. That's a lot of piercing and a lot of bonus damage thanks to the Ranger pickup at level 1. Next, Immortal phase.
This is going to be risky now for Lag Force. This is the first time they've been very aggressive, but look at that damage output. Holy cow. Reset 1 there for Li Ming. She gets the heal there from that dominance. Big impact makes it out, but iDream, I was going to say maybe not sharing the same fate, but Wraithwalk from B-Kid allows him to escape. March of the Black King right on top of the stun, but it's before it gets complete, so he is just fine.
And that's that stellar synergy between Zuna and iDream. Zuna patient, waiting out the stuns, waiting out the Lunar Flare, power slides back through, and then iDream goes in. And the whole time, iDream is the focus while Biggie's just quietly throwing out laser beams. Swap hits iDream, he's got to deflect.
Should have cyber agility still, not used before the Howling Blast. Maybe I'm wrong, he is going to go down 35 seconds before he's back and big impact. The Disintegrate was just out of range to hit Lutano, so he's going to survive. Wraithwalk used. Lag Force on retreat. Now they're trying to defend 4 versus 5 on this Immortal. Zuno goes in with the Mosh Pit, hitting 4 members of Even in Death. They cannot defend whatsoever, but nobody dies.
Now, just for a second, finally Greymane goes down, and that's the reset Biggie needed, but he doesn't have a whole lot of mana. Even still, Lag Force willing to keep this fight going with the sound barriers. They blow up Arthas for a second kill.
They are just on an absolute heyday right now. Just Even in Death is just trying to figure out how they can hit the pause button, stall this out. Now Lag Force with 3 members dead, I assume to go back. Li Ming is going to be the one focusing onto this Immortal. Genji's there to make things happen. And it's now going to be the 16 talent tier, a very shielded Immortal. I don't see Even in Death unless they can make a clever play with this Tyrande. Uh-oh. Frozen X, body blocks, dropping the Starfall even. This is gone, it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Tomster is out of control on his Lucio. Every boop, nearly a kill or saving somebody, life or death in his hands. Lag Force is going to hold off for a moment with the Immortals. They finally close it out, close out this phase. Healthy, shielded Immortal for Lag Force and 16.
Yeah, this is a position where Lag Force is looking to end this game. Oh, never mind. Excuse me there. Forgot for a minute that the bottom fort still exists, and this is not an auto top. So there's a fort to still endure. It's not enough to end the game, but they should be aiming for a keep and mainly a huge flank through that transition down below. But the fact that nobody's applying pressure with this Immortal, and it's losing, what is that, 25% shielding for free here? That's a pretty big misplay for Lag Force.
Yeah, that was a very slow rotation.
It's a huge misplay, actually. They just lost all the shielding they've been working for because Hunter's Mark, and they were down 2 seconds.
Yep. Even with 16 too, this should have been a place where they completely zone off Even in Death, and there's no way that Even in Death can survive at all being around this fort. They do enough that the Immortal has started to lose health. Yes, the fort is down, but it's not nearly the power play that Lag Force could have gotten out of this Immortal. There's still a chance, though, as the Immortal will continue to move up.
The mid-gate has not been the focus for Lag Force. Normally you see that when you have the intent. I say that right as Li Ming just throws an entire magic missile rotation. Homicidal went in, knocks back it from Zuna. B-Kid questioning if he wants to go forward here. Starfall's been removed. No minion wave to be able to tank this for a couple of more seconds, but it doesn't look like Lag Force is afraid. They know they have the 16 talent here. They keep falling below 50%. Wraithwalk is used. And Lag Force seem to be backing out for now. Even in Death, even getting aggressive. I don't think they remember. They don't have 16s. This is not a fight they can take.
They don't have 16s, but they are willing to do what it needs to be done just to keep that keep alive. B-Kid's been a lot of focus with his ominous Wraith on Greymane.
I'm
forces
amazed.
Them all the way back.
I'm amazed that Lag Force willing to walk away from that fight. That was one of those situations where I thought for sure it's like, okay, we bait him, we bait him, we bait him. All right, kill them right now. Turn it up. With the aggression they've displayed with this comp, they play it a bit more passive here. They're still trying to make work with the 16 advantage onto the keep. just maybe not at the same pace. Army of the Dead's dropped, and even Death's moving in.
Whether they want it or not, this is the point where Lag Force has to fight because Battery has used his Army of the Dead, and he is on top of the backline. Suppression Pulse with the blinds. Everyone gets out of March of the Black King in time so that even Death doesn't take damage from that.
I feel like Beacon is in an eternal state of Wraithwalk here on that Leoric, just
That's
constantly.
post 16 Leo.
Mosh
there
pit
it
drops,
is.
gets swapped out from Homicidal. There's a Divine Shield used on an Arthas, but he has no mana. We see iDream going in there with that Dragon Blade. He found himself one reset. Battery's the next focus.
Oh no, this is about to get really ugly. iDream gets another kill. Big E and iDream wanting to continue the resets. A power slide finds another one. iDream dives right back in.
Healing coming out from the Ghost. Uther is allowed even in death to not lose anybody and give that second reset. Lag Force here, they get the keep, mission accomplished, but you know, they were hoping for a bit more, a few more kills, and they would have had themselves the game. But by no means doesn't look bad for them. They've got this Immortal coming online. Even in death, they are going to have the 16 talent tier, but now they have catapult pressure throughout bottom. Lag Force has time on their side.
I've been watching the numbers of B-Kid's Leoric because it's been topping the damage charts just until now, where finally Big E and his Li Ming have been able to upset that. But still 50k, the 51 of Li Ming's pretty impressive for B-Kid for his Leoric. Shows how good he is at landing his Drain Hopes, getting into position for these gigantic skeletal swings that we saw there.
Just reset on reset,
Yep.
massive debuff after debuff. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, why I was afraid of Leoric when we were talking about where's the Leo after his rework. Europe picking him up immediately, and NA kind of dabbled down. And I was like, I'm absolutely terrified of this new hero. And it's just based on his Wraithwalk capabilities. That there's never a good time to try and attack Leoric anymore.
Well, if Even in Death has to stop Lag Force before Lag Force gets to 20, this would be the time. Time is up. The time is now. B-Kid showing off where Even in Death is. He goes right into a root stun. Starfall being used.
Sound Barrier drops. It keeps him alive. March of the Black King doesn't hit too many targets. Battery with the Army of the Dead is trying to heal up there, but his focus is on to B-Kid as he Wraith walks through. Power Slide dropped by Zuna. No Mosh Pit used yet. Luna Flare doesn't connect, but after this Divine Shield goes out, Homicidal, I was going to say goes down, but he gets himself a shield. There he goes. There's the blow up, and the resets begin here for Lag Force.
Ooh, 4. Only Tron is left, and I don't think she's going to make it out of here, although the stun from Immortal is going to help as best he can. Everybody chasing down Frozen X. Lag Force wants this team wipe. They go through the gate. They take down Tyrande. And they are looking to bring down the gate to close out the series.
Big Impact are looking to join these minions. Everybody from Lag Force moving through. And our two Crucible teams seem like we have found the end here of this head-to-head. Lag Force will take it 3-0 over Even in Death and put up a good showing to fear off the scary, scary Open Division teams.
Both these teams will move on to one final best of 7 for HGC 2017 versus an Open Division team. We don't know yet which teams will be from North American Open Division. Playoffs for EU's Open Division start on Monday, and then the following Monday will be North America. We don't know yet. We obviously think that Heroes Hearth is going to be one of them. They look very strong. They have a lot of ex-professional players.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, everything is, they have the hype behind them in terms of the roster originally, then they came in and I believe so far have just been absolutely dominating. That's been the words that I've been getting. I haven't watched their games that much. I mean, I've dissected here and there to be like, are they worth the hype that everybody's given? But they have seemed to just be, everybody's like, this is the squad. They're going to be the ones everybody's afraid of. And again, that's very different than what we experienced at the first Crucible. Even in Death was slightly maybe talked about, but it wasn't even out of the case of like fear as much as it was just that's probably going to be the team. Now it's a bit more of kind of like a, you might not want to play these guys.
Yeah, they're fearsome,
Yeah.
and it's understandable with all of the experience and the plays, the skills to back that up too. But we've got Even in Death, Lag Force putting on a great show against them. A 3-0 win for them has got to feel good for the members of Lag Force, knowing that they again have to play in the Crucible. They made it through once. I think Lag Force will be able to do it again.
Yeah, and I feel like everybody at home too, with knowing that kind of just Lag Force going like, well, when we decide to turn it on, we can turn it on pretty effectively, and suddenly you're just kind of like, it's almost funny because that has made Lag Force debatably one of the scariest teams to take on if you're an open division team, right?
Yes.
Because you look at them and you're like constantly like, well, unlike the rest of North America, even though they are consistently maybe struggling, when they say that we're going to give it our all, they are the only teams really kind of repping and winning. Unlike the other instability of North America, those are the teams claiming that they'll win, and then the results are maybe not necessarily there. So it kind of makes it to where if I'm an open division team, Black Force understands how good they are better than most of North America. So that kind of makes me go, I don't want to touch anything to do with you.
Yeah, it is often felt like when Lag Force is defeated, at least part of that defeat is in themselves. Like, they just didn't feel like turning it on today for some whatever reason.
Yeah.
But you back them into a corner, and they're going to strike. They will strike. And they're backed into a corner now with their position in HGC on the line.
Yeah, and I feel like that I oftentimes talk about like Zuna's mentality just because I've been able to play with him and hear a lot of his perspective and thoughts on the game. And just knowing how when things really matter, how easy his competitor mentality comes on and how freaking good he is at the game. Like, because I often highlight him, but it's also just kind of like he's on a struggling squad. Why? And it's just I have a first case example of I know the minute that he goes, I'm ready to play, he looks like a completely different player, and you're just, the highs and lows are very much there, and I think the beauty of kind of all this is on the other side of the table, I would argue Arthlon on Heroes Hype is a player that if you give him the motivation, he will be that guy, and he will be that outstanding player, the same way Zuna can. And so it's kind of like now, if they end up selecting each other, it's like who feels like they have the more on their shoulders will be the one who ends up being the better player.
Yeah, I don't think that we have fully addressed it, but the #1 team out of playoffs in Open Division gets to choose whichever team they want, either Even in Death or Lag Force, which is why this match mattered in the sense of not so much standings, but proving that you are the stronger of the two teams from HGC going to the Crucible. Let's check in with Zuna now. We've got him on the line. Hey, Zuna, congratulations. You guys got a 3-0 victory. What was your ideas, your mentality coming into this series? Was it more about making sure that you were ready for playoffs, or did you want to prove something today?
It was more just making sure we play as clean as possible. Game 1, we started trolling a bit because they had full smork.
Yeah.
But then after that, game 2 and 3, we try to be a little more serious.
All right, cool. Good to hear. We want to talk about the Crucible now. What are you guys going to be doing to make sure that you're in the best state possible when you head into the Crucible?
I think all of us are going to play a lot more solo queue and then go over all our VODs and talk about our drafts and stuff like that. So we want to make sure we come out with as good as games as possible.
Have you been watching Open Division at all and been checking out some of the teams there?
Not too much, but for the upcoming matches, we'll watch them for sure.
Yeah. All right, send you over to Dread. Thanks.
Zuna, we saw you guys in a banning out the Kel'Thuzad at certain points today, and Kel'Thuzad has kind of been hit or miss, I think is the way we'll describe it here. So I just wanted to know, was the ban on Kel'Thuzad more of like respect to his power, or was that you guys just not wanting to deal with it today?
A little bit of both, because we were playing on Order 1, and that hero can randomly one-shot you, so we didn't want to, like, on such a small map, the only way we thought we could lose is if somehow Kel'Thuzad is just landing chains all day.
We heard originally that he would be really, really high impact here in NA, and then yesterday we heard them claim that kind of maybe he was a bit overhyped. I was just wondering, maybe can you shed some more light? Do you feel like he is maybe not as good as people made it out to be, or do you feel like he's yet to see his true power?
I definitely think he's a bit overhyped. I think in certain roles against certain comps, he'll definitely shine, but he's not one of those heroes where you can just first pick him, and there's definitely ways to deal with him. So he's not just like the all-around, oh, this hero's so strong. It's in certain situations, he is definitely one of the strongest heroes, though.
So more like that in like tier 2, tier 3 style level play, more niche. All right. Thank you. That's all I got.
Well, Zuna, before I have you go and give some shout-outs, I wanted to know if you had any words for the Open Division teams who might be watching your games today.
Good luck, If you're trying to be pro, you got to be the best, right?
There you go. Thanks so much, Zuna. The floor is yours for some shout-outs.
Thanks to everyone that voted for us and rooting for us, especially with my boy Tim, and keep voting for us or whatever, cheering for us, and we'll do our best. Next split, we'll definitely try and make it to the Western Clash and the BlizzCon.
Awesome. Good to hear. Thanks, Zuna. Final 3-0 for Lag Force. Feeling good going into the Crucible. Unfortunately for Even in Death, ending in a 0-3 loss, but all that matters in the end is the Crucible.
All that matters is the Crucible. I was going to say in the end it doesn't even matter, but
it in fact really does.
It does, actually. The meme is not necessarily appropriate in this case because it is, it means I don't know. I feel like for each player, it kind of means a different thing, right? For some, it's just maybe more of a job. For others, it's a passion. For others, it's a literal dream that they're trying to achieve. And so it's a bit heartbreaking, but I feel like Zuna said it best. You know, you want to be one of the best, you got to play with the pros. This is a competitive environment when it's all said and done, and you have to be okay with the idea of it's all about improving, and it's all about competition. Somebody's got to be a winner, and somebody's got to be a loser.
Well, that you do. We've got one final series for HGC League play. It'll be Team Freedom versus Tempo Storm after this break. Stick with us.